Happy Friday, everybody. I'm back in the New York groove. It is season 4 of Made Man, where we are ready to talk about season 4 of Mad Men. And I just finished episode 1 of season 4, Public Relations. It's a whole new world. It feels like a new Mad Men. It feels like all our favorite characters are in new roles. Not new roles, but like in just new major moments in their life. Or is it lives? I don't know. But a lot has changed since we last left Sterling Cooper, Draper Price. It's by the end of the episode, you realize it's been not quite a year, but within a year. Since they have left the company to start their own business. And my God, I literally just finished it. And I'm trying to think, how does this episode start? And now I remember. Dawn is having an interview with someone from advertising age or ad age. And he's very, you know how Dawn is. He's guarded. He's very guarded. He doesn't like to say things. He doesn't like to talk about himself. He doesn't like to talk about his history. He was very bland to the guy, and he was like, I don't know, you do this, and he was like, I'm from the Midwest. We don't talk about ourselves very much. And the other guy's like, you fill all this stuff in. And by the end of the interview, the guy left, and they. Roger and Pete showed up to kind of break up the interview and get Dawn to go back for meetings. And they noticed the guy had a wooden leg, that he lost his leg in Korea. I thought that would connect Dawn with him a little more because Dawn was in the war as well. But it didn't seem to do anything. In fact, all it did was make them talk about him worse ways. But Dawn is being summoned back to the office for meetings. First of all, oh my God, like I literally just watched it. We see the new office. We see new people, new faces. We see Sterling and we see Pete and we see Cooper all heading up to the new office. We see a new logo. There's some fancy music playing. It feels more like we're starting to get to that more modern version of the 60s. Even though it's only been about a year, there's new secretaries. There's a new actor. There's a new character who works with Peggy on that side. I don't know what he does exactly, but he works in creative, and he's very familiar. And I know I've seen him in something, but I haven't looked it up yet. And yeah, they have. And I love the business I love stuff that goes on in the business of, I want to say Sterling Cooper, but it's not anymore. Where's Kinsey? Where's Ken Cosgrove? I don't know. We still don't have Sal. I don't see him anymore. They might just be gone. Are they really gone? I feel like I'm going to miss these characters if they're gone. We didn't see any of them. We did see Harry. He was coming back from L.A., and he's got to deal with some stuff. And, of course, yeah, that was it. We saw, Lane Price and Don Draper and Roger Sterling and Bert Cooper. They are the 4 partners of this new entity. Peggy is working on a deal with Sugarberry Hams. That's her. That's what she's been working on. Pete needs help with it too, as well, because they sent one ham, and they were like, I thought they were going to send a bunch of hams. Like, yeah, it hasn't gone as well as we thought it needed to. So they came up with an ingenious idea to sell more hams, and I'll get more to that later. Dawn is dealing with I was going to say bikini, but they're not a bikini company. They are a swimsuit company. They make a 2-piece swimsuit, very classy. They don't make a suggestive and dirty bikini. No. That's for trollops, not the 2-piece. The 2-piece is for a modest, professional, family-oriented woman who likes to wear a 2-piece bathing suit. Very different. The bikini is underwear, is what they refer to it as, and they want to have something classy. And that's what Don needs to deal with. And what he gives them later on was really exactly the opposite of what I think they wanted. And I think that kind of put Don in a mode where it's like, we're going to be a different company. A lot happened, and I feel like I'm all over the place. And that's just, look, I mean, this is a season finale, season premiere for me too. This is my 4th season. Now, I know I have no breaks, and I've come with you every Friday, but I just watched it, and I know a ton of stuff happened. So what I miss, wow, I'm like, this all happened in this episode? Wow. Wow, wow, wow. If I miss anything, you know how to find me. It's around Thanksgiving time, and Don is invited to Roger Sterling's house. And he, with Jane, one of Jane's friends. Now, you know, Jane is Roger's young wife, so obviously she has young friends. I believe the actress's name is Anna Camp. She was in, like, well, I knew her first from True Blood, but she's in the Pitch Perfect movies. And apparently she's also from Mad Men. So Roger finally tells Don, convinces Don to go on a blind date with this girl. They go on a date. The girl, they hit it off. She works as like an extra actress for the opera. They have a nice dinner. They get in the cab. They have a nice talk. They make out a little bit. Don wants to go inside with her to have sexual relations, I believe, which has nothing to do with public relations, which is the name of this episode. But she is a good girl, and she says, "I know what that means." When he says, "Can I walk you to the door?" Basically, she wants him at Thanksgiving, and he says no. He has plans. He does not. He does have plans, actually, and there's some weird plans. Very, very weird plans. Man, I'm all over the place, but that is who I am, and at this point, you know it, so it's too late. But this girl liked him a lot, and he liked her. He said, Roger's like, she said you got a little too handsy in the car, but she liked you, but they didn't get together on Thanksgiving. Don also needed to meet with his accountant. Why? Because he has insurance that helps the company. He also has to have insurance that helps the kids, life insurance. And then the accountant brought up, what about the house? She's supposed to be out in October. And he's like, oh, I can't believe that. It's come up so quickly. And Don does not give in. The guy's like, we could force her to do that. You're paying a mortgage and you're paying insurance on a house that you don't live with, that she's in with another man. And you realize, oh, she is with Henry. Now, they're like, are you going to see the kids? We're getting on Thanksgiving. I'm getting them the next day. Roger really wanted Don to come to the house, but he doesn't. You know why he doesn't come to the house? Because he is a freak. And I'll get more to that later. I'm going to jump all over the place. Jumping back to the ham. Pete and Peggy come up with a great idea together. First, they wanted to do a publicity stunt. First, it was have 100 people go in and buy all the hams. Then it was, or stock a store with 100 hams, have 100 people go in and buy them. It was too expensive. So they decided to hire 2 actresses to go in and fight over the last ham. And it went really well. In fact, it went too well. After the publicity stunt, Pete and Peggy met them at a diner, and one of the women was upset because the other one was too rough. And they were like, look, it went really good. We shouldn't have any more contact. Here's, he pays them. And before they go out, one of the women grabs the other woman and pulls her by the hair really hard. It's like, you are too rough with me. You hurt me. And Pete was like, hey, whoa, separate them. Get them away from each other. It was actually pretty funny. This was an interesting episode because Pete felt more like he was important, felt more like he was part of the team, and didn't feel like a crazy person. Hopefully this job maybe makes Pete more normal. We'll see. But it doesn't end there. So they find out that the deal, they actually they find out that it's in the paper. Their names are going to be in the paper. And the Sugarberry Company, Sugarberry Hams, they don't know that this was done because they're not going to tell them because they can't bill them for something like that. And they don't want it if they could be angry. But they realize all these newspapers are picking up on the fact that it was their ham. And they're getting more sales. And because of that, they convinced them to advance or pay more in their media, advance their media buys. So, and Peggy came up with a good idea that our hams are so good they're worth fighting over, with a cartoon pilgrim and a cartoon Indian, which back then I don't think anyone would have found offensive. They just realized that's how things were. That's what Thanksgiving was: pilgrims and Indians. And, I don't think anyone called them Native Americans even then. So there's do a cartoon ad of them fighting over it. Perfect. And you think that's the end of it. Great. Where everything works out perfectly. But no. On Thanksgiving, I think this was Thanksgiving, Dawn, a woman came over to visit Dawn. And I thought, oh, is this Dawn's other girlfriend? No. This is Dawn's prostitute. And apparently, Dawn's a regular customer. Because she comes in, she's like, I'm sorry I'm late. She's dealing with her family. She goes, I'm sorry, I know you don't like when I talk about my family, right? Didn't you say that? And he's like, yeah, that's okay. And then they go in the other room and boom, she has mounted the draper. She's going to take her brassiere off. And he's like, no, not yet. And she's like, I know what you want. And he's like, then do it. And he's like, slap. Harder. And I'm like, oh my God, Don, you are a glutton for punishment. You want very badly to be slapped around. I think he's not loving his life right now. They showed him earlier in the episode in his apartment, and he has a maid who cooks for him. He doesn't really eat. She cleans up for him. He doesn't like that she moved his shine box. And he just kind of sits home, works, watches TV, sits home, works, goes to work, doesn't do much. That blind date that they set up was his first date. And he's like, well, my first date that Roger set up, but it's probably seemed like his first date. He's just getting laid by the prostitute. It doesn't seem like much else is going on. Now, shall we talk about Betty? See, on Thanksgiving, Betty is at her mother-in-law's house. Yes, you heard me right. At least I think this was her mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law. That's right. She is married to Henry. She is now Mrs. Betty, Henry's last name, Henry Francis. So she must be Betty Francis. Ladies and gentlemen, she is married to Henry and still living in the house that Don Draper pays for. To me, that means Henry is, less of a man. God damn it, Henry, pay your own mortgage, okay? Pay back Don every penny that he is paying for that mortgage while you're living there. That is a bullshit, if you ask me. So they are over. They're over for a big Thanksgiving dinner. Betty, Henry, and the two kids, Bobby and Sally. And they're a little older. And Sally's not really into eating. I don't think she likes being there, to be honest with you. Betty, because Betty's a psychopath, forces food into Sally's mouth, who kind of spits it up, and she's like, I'm sorry. Oh, she must not be feeling well. Then you hear, stop pinching me. Because Betty, I want to say Betty Draper, but I guess she's Betty Francis now, is annoying. And a crazy person. And a terrible mother, because, where the hell's this baby? No one seems to care about the friggin' baby. No one cares about baby Gene. Where is baby Gene? He was never seen. But Betty banged Henry in the car in the garage. We'll get there. So, Henry's got his grown daughter there. They're there with her husband, her fiance, and you could just tell that they were they actually got gifts for the kids, which was nice. They seem to be okay with the fact that Henry's got a new young wife and new young stepkids. Totally cool. I actually thought that the guy looked a lot like Henry, and I thought it was supposed to be his son. I was like, is that really the guy's son? Like the real actor's son? But no, the daughter is his, and he's with the daughter. Oh, it's Sleepy Jean. I was like, wow, the song is Baby Jean, but it's not. It's Sleepy Jean. Anyway, huge Monkeys fan. Okay, not huge, but I enjoy some of their songs. Okay, I'm going to stop going off on that tangent. Now, where the hell was I? So, Henry and Betty are upstairs in Don's bed. Yeah, I'm going to say it. In Don's friggin' bed. They're home in Don's house in Don's bed. And they're getting a little frisky, and then you hear clink, 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 clink. And she goes outside, out of the room, and in the hallway, Sally has the phone on. She's like, what are you doing? I'm trying to call Daddy. I want to wish him happy Thanksgiving. You'll see him tomorrow. And she goes back into Henry's room, into Don's bedroom, into Don's bed with her husband, Henry. Oh, yeah, they have wedding rings on. Yeah, that's why they don't. I love shows where it's not like they don't say, you're my wife now that we're married. Now that we're married, because that's what dumb shows and dumb writing do. They tell you stuff. I was watching a show, and it's a bad show, and they were like, well, because I'm a lawyer and also his brother, I can defend him, blah, blah, blah. And I know things, it's like really stupid things. They're just reminding the audience, hey, dum-dums, remember this? Where in shows that are smart and have sophistication, you just see the wedding rings. It's just, you just figure it out on your own. You can see it without having to be told it. I love that. And that's what they did here. I just saw, hey, he's got a wedding ring on. And I looked, yep, they both have wedding rings on. They're married. Boom, done. But when she goes back into the room after the phone call, he's like, oh, Betty, I had a lot to eat. And he decides not to have sexual intercourse with his wife. The next day, Don shows up and with the kid. But Don shows up to get the kids. And he's like, hey, Daddy. They all jump all over him. And hi, Sally. Well, Bobby jumps all over him. Sally's like, hi, Daddy. And Betty comes down, and she's like, 9 p.m. tomorrow. Excuse me. And Henry's there, and he's like, Henry? No, he goes, Dawn? And Dawn's like, Henry? Real nothing to it. And he goes, can I see the baby? What about Gene? He goes, well, you're not taking him, and Carla's going to watch him. We're going away for a couple of days. So it's like, you take the kids, we'll have our housekeeper watch the baby, and I'll go off with my new husband. Like, are they all that? And Don's like, Don doesn't take his own baby son. Are they all like terrible parents? Is this the way things were then? Is this like, am I crazy to think this is sucks? And you think maybe it's Betty, maybe it's on, and Henry too. Henry has no freaking problem with it. Oh my God. I don't like him. I don't like him, and I don't care. Who knows it? So she closes the door on Don. Don leaves with them. They get in the car, and before they don't even open the garage door, all of a sudden now Henry is super horny and wants to car bang her. He car bangs Betty. He car bangs her. I just made that term up. I like the way it sounds, so I'm repeating it. He car bangs her in the garage. Or is it garage bang her in the car? I don't know. Either one works. He gets frisky with his wife in the car. It's probably Don's car for all we know. And look, the part of me thought they accidentally turned the engine on and they both die. And that's how they find them. And I'm like, no, obviously that's not going to happen. But the thought did cross my mind. I'm thinking, is he getting all charged up because he sees Don there. Don comes in, and I'm sorry, but Don Draper is one handsome man, and much more handsome than Henry friggin' Francis. So Henry sees Betty, his young chippy wife, sees her ex-husband, who looks like Superman, show up and take the kids, and he's probably like, I have to remind her that I also have the ability to have sex. And boom, I'm not going to wait until we go away. We're going to do it right here in the car, and bang, 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 bang. It has to be that. It has to be him kind of a power play, showing, look, Betty, I am your man. And Betty, I love you very much. I'm your man. And we're gonna car bang. We're gonna car bang you right now. I'm gonna do it right here. You know exactly what I'm doing. We're gonna do it right here, right now. And that's what happened. Don takes the kids back to the house, and I don't think they do much. They just kind of hang out. He has bunk beds for them in this like side pantry room that has swinging doors. They hang out and watch TV while he works. That was really it. I don't think they did much else. He popped them popcorn, and they hung out. They spent time together, which, maybe that's enough. In the 60s, you're hanging out with your dad. Not bad. Could be worse. He brings them back to the house. Oh, the girl that he went on the date for, she's like, I normally don't date divorced men. Which is like, because you remember, this is the 60s. Divorce is still very different. But within a year's time, they got divorced and they got remarried. And she got remarried. Must have been all that New Mexico stuff. Because she had to move to she had to have residency in, was it New Mexico or was it Albuquerque? Was it Phoenix? I don't forget. Anyway, the next day at night, he brings the kids back to the house, 9 o'clock, like she said. No one's there. No one answers the door. Luckily, Sally has a key. You think Don would have a key to his own house. Sally has a key, lets them in, goes upstairs. No one's there. So he puts the kids to bed, and he sits at the couch with his dog. His friggin' dog. And watches TV. And almost an hour later, they show up, and the door opens, and they're giggling, and Henry's like, why is a dog in the house? Why is there a dog in that? Why is the dog in the house? And you know why the dog's in the house? Because it's friggin' Don's dog in Don's house. And Don's like, I think Don said, like, because I let him in or something like that. Don said something, and Betty's like, oh, startled to see him. She's like, it's almost 10 o'clock. She's like, I'm sorry, you said 9 o'clock. And Henry's like, I thought she said 10. She didn't, which was awesome. And she's like, I wait for you all the time. She goes, Henry, do you mind? He wanted to talk to his wife alone, his ex-wife alone. And Henry's like, Betty, she goes, it's fine. It's fine. You want me to leave, or it's fine you want me to stay? You can stay. And Don's like, you need to find a new place to live. You need to get out. You were supposed to get out a month ago. She's like, it's hard. I can't find it. She goes, well, you need to get out, or you need to start paying rent. What? And she gets all upset and storms off. And he leaves. No, I'm all upset. And I think she asked him to leave, and he leaves. And she's like, it's hard enough with the kids, moving with the kids. And Henry's like, I hate to say it, but he's right. Okay, so maybe Henry realizes I'm living in this other man's house for free, I guess. I don't know. And he's paying the mortgage, and he's like, we need to do something. Maybe he should. Oh, he said to Henry, he goes, you can buy the house from me if you want. Oh, that was awesome. It's like, step up and be the friggin' man you want to be. I loved it. But basically it was like she stormed off mad, and Henry kind of sat there like, geez, he was upset. He had his head buried in his hands. And that was the end of Betty and that family and all that stuff. I think I covered just about everything there. Oh, well, the ham incident. Things got a little testier since we last saw them. Remember, they got in a fight at the diner. Well, all of a sudden, and believe me, I'm off on my days. I'm all over the place. But when Don had his whore at the house, there was a phone call, and the whore answered the call. And the phone rang 3 times. He's like, why did you answer it? She's like, it kept ringing. I was getting nervous. So I'm sorry to call her the whore, but I believe technically that's what she was. it's Peggy on the phone, and she needs $280. What? So Peggy shows up at Dawn's house. This is definitely on Thanksgiving Day because she's with her boyfriend who's holding a crock pot of food, and they're like, I need $200. Basically, this is what I think. Maybe she mentioned this over the phone. She did. We hired two women to get in an argument over the ham, and one got too rough with the other, and now they've pressed charges, and it cost $80 to bail them out, and each of them want $100 to stay quiet. So we need $280. And he's like, you need to call Campbell. She goes, you think you're the first call I made? So she already tried Pete. She had to get to Don. She ends up at Don's house, like I said, at the door of his apartment. And Don is pissed. Don yells at her. The guy's like, no, don't have to have names. He goes, who are you? He yells at the guy, who are you? She goes, I'm her fiance. And she looks at him like Mark or Matt or whatever his name was. She goes, why did you say that? When Don finally paid him and closed the door. She's like, I just came out. I'm trying to, it just happened. But Don really yelled at her saying, it's embarrassment and, that you're making the firm, you could really make the firm look like a joke and make me look like a joke. And he really leaned into her good. At the end, later on in the episode, she comes later with a sweet berry ham. She goes, they sent one over for everyone. They've increased their media buy. It worked out. And he's like, well, it might not have. You can't do stuff like that. If you have to run this stuff by me, you can't do that kind of stuff. And she was defensive, saying like, it worked out. No one has to know. It'll never come back to us. And it's just the way it's fine. And he, was like, I don't want you in this meeting. She was, now you're being spiteful because I just don't want a girl there. I think it was the bikini meeting. The 2-piece bathing suit. And she was like, we all came here for you. All we want to do is please you. I think that kind of resonated with Dawn a little. And before I get, my God, I almost missed out on a few things. Before I get to the final kind of meeting with the bathing suit company, I talked about Dawn's interview early, the start of the episode. The interview was like the ad man with no name. That's how it was written. And Roger and Roger was kind of upset with how the article wasn't flashy enough. It was really trying to kind of get the name of the company and sell the company out there. And this one wasn't very flashy. And Don's like, well, what do you want me to do? I just answered. I just talked. I'm not, it's his job to do this. What am I supposed to do? This is how I do things. And they ended up having a meeting. Now, Harry Crane came back from California. He looked like he got really bad sunburn. And he was really excited because he actually sold the High Lie. Do you remember from like seasons ago? They had that Pete had a rich friend who had lots of money and wanted to invest in High Lie. And Harry actually sold the High Lie special to ABC. It's going to air on ABC. So he was all excited and he couldn't wait. They're going to have a meeting and he's going to announce it. And I guess this was the meeting. They don't have they talked about how they don't have a conference table. They just sit around in chairs, which was weird. They don't have a meeting. They do have a meeting. And during that meeting, they're kind of upset with Don because he didn't do a great job at the interview. Bert is really upset. And he's like, I have a in with I'm going to have to get you another interview. I have an in with someone at the Washington Post. I should put you in touch with them. And Don's like, for what? I'm just going to do the same thing. What's the difference? Pete got a phone call from Ho-Ho, his rich friend, and Pete comes in all pissed. He's like, Ho-Ho is dropping us. We're losing High Lie. And Harry's like, what? I just sold High Lie to ABC. He goes, because Don didn't mention him in the article. Remember, Ho-Ho is the rich kid who is very sensitive. Pete's like, I think he was crying because he wasn't mentioned. Don's like, I didn't mention anybody in the article. And they're all pissed at Don because he screwed up with the article. Joan, she's there now. She's like, don't worry, it'll pass. Harry was really... Pete's like, call Ho-Ho back in an hour. Let it pass. Harry's all pissed off because he just sold a big thing and now he could be dropped. He walks off. He's like, I wish we had a second floor so we could jump off. They talk about having a second floor. They mention something about on the second floor, and Bert's like, I don't even want to talk about that. What's up there? I don't know. I've seen a picture of like 4 people looking out and it looked like an empty room. I thought that was going to be what we saw in this episode, but we see a full company, I guess, right now. And Don mentions at the end of this episode that they have a couple floors. So I'm going to get to that, but I wonder what's on these floors yet. Maybe they have them, but they're not ready. Maybe they have them, but there's nothing there. I don't know. But Pete mentioned to Don, this article is used to the bathing suit company also had other clients other ad firms just waiting outside, and that pissed Don off. But Pete's like, we have to differentiate ourselves. We're not as big as these companies. We're the scrappy underdogs, and they're like, please, I hope you don't use that in your pitch. So later on, Don goes towards the end of the episode. Don goes to the bathing suit company and says, here's what we have for you, and he shows them an ad. It says, so well built we can't show you the second story or the second floor, and it's a woman in a bikini bottom or bathing suit bottom and a black bar with those words covering her a bosom area, I guess, with her chest area, and it's very suggestive, which is not exactly what these guys didn't want. And this guy's like, this isn't wholesome enough, and this is it's by not showing it, it's suggesting that it's showing more. And Don's like, that's the point. He goes, you want to be safe and you want to be wholesome, and don't you want people to come in the store? And they're like, but not like this. He goes, you want 2 women with a beach ball and a little baby and maybe a dog on the beach? And like, yeah, something like that. He goes, you're going to get eaten for breakfast. This company's going to come in and squash you. Do you want to be good or do you want to be winning? He goes, well, we don't want that. And Don's like, well, that's what I got, or something like that. He leaves. He walks off, and Roger chases him out. He says, hold on a minute. Chases him out. Says, Don, what are you doing? You can't do this. And Don is pissed off. You can see Pete in the room still, trying to warm things over. And he's like, hopefully Pete will, convince him to stay. And Don's like, screw that. Goes back in the room, opens the door, and says, get the hell out of my office. Get your stuff and go. Get out of my office. He walks off, and he says to his secretary, get Bert's Wall Street Journal guy, Washington Post guy, Wall Street Journal. Get his Wall Street Journal guy, and cut to this guy having an interview with Don Draper, and Don's like, this guy's like, some people say that the nucleus or the soul of Sterling Cooper, Draper, Price is you. Would you agree with that? And he's like, yeah. And boom, this bouncy music starts playing, Tobacco Road, and Don's like, it was like we were drowning our old business, and I went over to Price and I said, fire us. And boom, that's when the music, and we 2 days later we're working in a hotel room. In less than a year, we have 3 floors of the Time Life building, and then the interview keeps going on. I think Don finally realized, A, we don't want to be that company we were before. B, we want clients that will take risks with us. And C, we have to sell ourselves. We have to play the game. We have to be public relations for ourselves, not just for our clients. So the public relations is actually not just relating to the public, but giving the public something exciting about yourself. And this, I think, is going to differentiate. I want to call him SCDP. No, that sounds gross. Sterling Cooper, Draper, Price. I feel like maybe we'll start seeing them take more risks in their ads and more unconventional things with their clients. I hope that's what I'm seeing, and I think that's what I'm seeing. I don't know yet, but Don is definitely getting it in the Wall Street Journal that who they are and what they mean for business and who he is. He's selling himself. He's selling the firm. He's selling their services, and I think it's great. Now, he's got to deal with Betty in that friggin' house. He's got to deal with maybe this new girl. He also has to deal with the fact that he likes getting slapped by prostitutes, which is new, I'm going to admit. Something I wasn't expecting. Okay, the fact that he's getting prostitutes is sad. He's a good-looking man, you know? But it's almost like I don't have time to date. I have so much work to do that I need to pay for a prostitute to come over and give me a sweet sexual release. That sounds disgusting when I say it out loud. Wow, I've gone over 36 minutes. I was like, how am I going to do this? Am I going to be able to talk? I watched these episodes going, am I going to remember all this? I'm sure I didn't remember everything, but I feel like I covered everything that was important, and I'm excited to see where this season goes. What is going to happen with Harry? Oh, Henry Francis went back to help his mom clean up the Christmas, taking the leaves out of the table and just kind of talk to her. And the mother really does not seem to like Betty. She didn't like that the kids. She thinks the kids are afraid of her. She goes, I understand why you married her, but you could have done that. You could have got what you wanted without marrying her. She was really disrespectful to him. And good. I'm actually kind of glad. Because I'm starting to not like this guy. He seems like a nice man. He seemed like a nice man. But I don't know. This living in Don's house really rubs me the wrong way. So I think with that, I've covered everything important. So where does Betty end up with living? Are her and Henry going to get a house together? I don't know. Is Don going to have the kids more than a weekend here and there? I don't know. I don't know how it works. Is it every other weekend? Is Harry Crane's sunburn going to clear up? And is he going to get highlight back? Who is this new creative guy? So there's this new creative young fella. I feel bad saying this, but I feel like something's going to happen. No. Peggy has a fiance. I'm sorry, but I still feel like something's going to happen. This is Mad Men. They have this kind of like playful thing where they go, John, Barbara, like they're dramatic soap opera actors. So I think that's just how they work. But this, this is Mad Men, so you like something twisty is going to happen. It can't just be a normal work environment. I don't know where all the other people are that were in Sterling Cooper. I have no idea what they're doing now. Roger, they talked about The Office, and you could see the Bert doesn't love The Office setup. But when they talked about the second floor, that's where he was like, I don't really want to talk about that. What else? I mean, maybe Don will have a new girlfriend. I don't know. Maybe, but we can't wait to see what the clientele is going to happen and what the press is going to bring them. And I think that covers everything. I wonder if we'll do new things with like the ham, but Don was not happy about that, so I'm going to say no. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Friday night. Friday night. When I'm saying this to you right now, it's 10:10 p.m. Friday, April 26th, 2019. And I'm talking in my creepy voice. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for continuing to listen and subscribe and support Made Men. I know, I can see the numbers. There aren't a ton of us. But those of you who are here have been consistently here, it seems like since day one. I love it. I appreciate it. And that's why I want to keep doing this every week. until we get to that series finale and we see what the hell happens with everybody on the show. But until then, you can find me on Twitter at MadeManPod. You can also follow at Fans Not Experts. That's the main Twitter account of our website, fansnotexperts.com, which if you look at it right now is a lot of made men and not a lot else. But I want to tell you something else. We're about a month away, June 1st. I have another podcast that I very rarely do. It's called Geek Mentality. On June 1st, that podcast is going to take off. It's in 30 days, it's going to have 30 podcast episodes. Because that June, every year, I watch 30 movies I've never seen, one a day, and I do a podcast one a day. So if you subscribe to Geek Mentality and you subscribe to Made Man, you're going to be getting 30 podcasts, plus you're going to be getting a Made Man every Friday. You're going to hear my voice more than anybody else, and more than anybody else should. But I appreciate it if you'd sign up, check that out. You can find it at Fans Not Experts. You can find it at Geek Mentality. It's movie month. It's fun. I love it. I've been doing it. This will be my 6th year doing it. It's a way for me to catch up on movies, and I love it. But that's then. This is now. And I want to say thank you one more time. Thank you. Okay, that was it. Once again, fansnotexperts.com, anchor.fm/mademan. Whatever. If you just type in Made Man Podcast, you will find us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for staying with us. And until next Friday, I just say one more time, thank you as I sound so stupid, as I roam the countryside, searching for that goal. That made no sense. Let's just say, as I strive to achieve the level, that makes more sense, of Made Man. Pigs in Spain.
Fans Not Experts.
Go Bruins, go Celtics, and that's all I have to say.